The Rashidun Caliphate was the Islamic caliphate in the earliest period of Islam, comprising the first four caliphs, the rightly guided, or Rashidun caliphs. It was founded after Muhammad's death in 632. At its height, the caliphate controlled an empire from the Arabian Peninsula and the Levant to the Caucasus in the north, North Africa from Egypt to present-day Tunisia in the west, and the Iranian plateau to Central Asia in the east. Caliph Umar conquered more than 2,200,000 square kilometers area in less than 10 years. Caliph Umar is known as the most powerful caliph in the history of Islam. Origin: after Muhammad's death in 632 CE, the Medinan Ansar debated which of them should succeed him in running the affairs of the Muslims while Muhammad's household was busy with his burial. Umar and Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah pledged their loyalty to Abu Bakr, with the Ansar and the Quraysh soon following suit. Abu Bakr thus became the first Khalifatul Rasulillah, successor of the Messenger of God, or Caliph, and embarked on campaigns to propagate Islam. First, he would have to subdue the Arabian tribes which had claimed that although they pledged allegiance to Muhammad and accepted Islam, they owed nothing to Abu Bakr. As a caliph, Abu Bakr was not a monarch and never claimed such a title, nor did any of his three successors. Rather, their election and leadership were based upon merit. Notably, according to Sunnis, all four Rashidun caliphs were connected to Muhammad through marriage, were early converts to Islam. Among 10 who were explicitly promised paradise were his closest companions by association and support, and were often highly praised by Muhammad and delegated roles of leadership within the nascent Muslim community. According to Sunni Muslims, the term Rashidun Caliphate is derived from a famous hadith of Muhammad, where he foretold that the caliphate after him would last for 30 years and would then be followed by kingship. Furthermore, according to other hadiths in Sunan Abu Dawud and Musnad Ahmad ibn Hanbal, towards the end times, the rightly guided caliphate will be restored once again by God. History. Succession of Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr, the oldest companion of Muhammad, was caliph for only 2 years before he died. When Muhammad died, Abu Bakr and Umar, his two companions, were in the Saqifa meeting to select his successor while the family of Muhammad was busy with his funeral. Controversy among the Muslims emerged about whom to name as caliph. There was disagreement between the Meccan followers of Muhammad who had emigrated with him in 622 and the Medinans who had become followers. The Ansar, considering themselves being the hosts and loyal companions of Muhammad, nominated Sa'd bin Ubadah as their candidate for the caliphate. In the end, however, Muhammad's closest friend, Abu Bakr, was named the Khalifa or successor of Muhammad. A new circumstance had formed a new, untried political formation, the caliphate. Troubles emerged soon after Muhammad's death, threatening the unity and stability of the new community and state. Apostasy spread to every tribe in the Arabian Peninsula with the exception of the people in Mecca and Medina. The Banu Thaqif in Taif and the Bani Abdul Qais of Oman. In some cases, entire tribes apostatized. Others merely withheld zakat, the alms tax, without formally challenging Islam. Many tribal leaders made claims to prophethood. Some made it during the lifetime of Muhammad. The first incident of apostasy was fought and concluded while Muhammad still lived. A supposed prophet Aswad Ansi arose and invaded South Arabia. He was killed on the 30th of May 632 by Governor Faraz of Yemen. a Persian Muslim. The news of his death reached Medina shortly after the death of Muhammad. The apostasy of al-Yamamah was led by another supposed prophet, Musaylima, who arose before Muhammad's death. Other centers of the rebels were in the Najd, Eastern Arabia and South Arabia. Many tribes claimed that they had submitted to Muhammad and that with Muhammad's death, their allegiance was ended. Caliph Abu Bakr insisted that they had not just submitted to a leader but joined a community or Umar of which he was the new head. The result of this situation was the Ridda Wars. Abu Bakr planned his strategy accordingly. He divided the Muslim army into several corps. The strongest corps, and the primary force of the Muslims, was the corps of Khalid ibn al-Walid. This corps was used to fight the most powerful of the rebel forces. Other corps were given areas of secondary importance in which to bring the less dangerous apostate tribes to submission. Abu Bakr's plan was first to clear Najd and Western Arabia near Medina, then tackle Malik ibn Nuwayra and his forces between the Najd and al-Bahrain, and finally concentrate against the most dangerous enemy, Musaylima and his allies in al-Yamamah. After a series of successful campaigns, Khalid ibn Walid defeated Musaylima in the Battle of Yamamah. The campaign on the apostasy was fought and completed during the 11th year of the Hijri. The year 12 Hijri dawned on the 18th of March 633 with the Arabian Peninsula united under the Caliph in Medina. Once the rebellions had been put down, Abu Bakr began a war of conquest. Whether or not he intended a full-out imperial conquest is hard to say. He did, however, set in motion a historical trajectory that, in just a few short decades, would lead to one of the largest empires in history. Abu Bakr began with Iraq, the richest province of the Sasanian Empire. He sent General Khalid ibn Walid to invade the Sasanian Empire in 633. He thereafter also sent 4 armies to invade the Roman province of Syria, but the decisive operation was only undertaken when Khalid, after completing the conquest of Iraq, was transferred to the Syrian front in 634. Succession of Omar. Despite the initial reservations of his advisors, Abu Bakr recognized military and political prowess in Umar and desired him to succeed as caliph. The decision was enshrined in his will, and on the death of Abu Bakr in 634, Umar was confirmed in office. The new caliph continued the war of conquests begun by his predecessor, pushing further into the Sasanian Persian Empire, north into Byzantine territory, and west into Egypt. It is an important fact to note that Umar never participated in any battle as a commander of a Muslim army throughout his life. These were regions of great wealth controlled by powerful states, but long internecine conflict between Byzantines and Sasanians had left both sides militarily exhausted, and the Islamic armies easily prevailed against them. By 640, they had brought all of Mesopotamia, Syria and Palestine under the control of the Rashidun Caliphate. Egypt was conquered by 642, and the entire Persian Empire by 643. While the Caliphate continued its rapid expansion, Umar laid the foundations of a political structure that could hold it together. He created the Divan, a bureau for transacting government affairs. The military was brought directly under state control and into its pay. Crucially, in conquered lands, Umar did not require that non-Muslim populations convert to Islam, nor did he try to centralize government. Instead, he allowed subject populations to retain the religion, language and customs, and he left the government relatively untouched, imposing only a governor and a financial officer called an amil. These new posts were integral to the efficient network of taxation that financed the empire. With the booty secured from conquest, Umar was able to support its faith in material ways. The companions of Muhammad were given pensions on which to live, allowing them to pursue religious studies and exercise spiritual leadership in their communities and beyond. Umar is also remembered for establishing the Islamic calendar. It is lunar like the Arabian calendar, but the origin is set in 622, the year of the Hijra, when Muhammad emigrated to Medina. Umar was killed in an assassination by the Persian slave Piraz Nafavandi during morning prayers in 644. Election of Uthman. Before Umar died, he appointed a committee of 6 men to decide on the next caliph, and charged them with choosing one of their own number. All of the men, like Umar, were from the tribe of Quraysh. The committee narrowed down their choices to 2, Uthman and Ali. Ali was from the Banu Hashim clan of the Quraysh tribe, and he was the cousin and son-in-law of Muhammad and had been a companion to the Prophet from the inception of his mission. Uthman was from the Umayyad clan of the Quraysh. Uthman reigned for 12 years as caliph. During the first half of his reign he enjoyed a position of the most popular caliph among all the Rashiduns, while in the later half of his reign he met increasing opposition. This opposition was led by the Egyptians and was concentrated around Ali, who would, albeit briefly, succeed Uthman as caliph. Despite internal troubles, Uthman continued the wars of conquest started by Umar. The Rashidun army conquered North Africa from the Byzantines and even raided Spain, conquering the coastal areas of the Iberian Peninsula, as well as the islands of Rhodes and Cyprus. Also coastal Sicily was raided in 652. The Rashidun army fully conquered the Sasanian Empire, and its eastern frontiers extended up to the lower Indus River. Uthman's most lasting project was the final compilation of the Quran. Under his authority, diacritics were written with the Arabic letters so that non-native speakers of Arabic could easily read the Quran without difficulty. Siege of Uthman. After a protest turned into a siege, Uthman refused to initiate any military action in order to avoid civil war between Muslims, and preferred negotiations. After the negotiations, the protesters returned but found a man following them, holding an order to execute the protesters. The protesters returned and Uthman swore he didn't write the order. He refuted the claim and tried to talk it through. The protesters demanded he retired from being a caliph. Uthman refused and returned to his room. This emboldened the protesters and they broke into Uthman's house and killed him while he was reading the Quran. It was later discovered that it wasn't his autograph but a forgery under his cousin Muawiyah's autograph. Crisis and fragmentation. After the assassination of the third caliph, Uthman ibn Affan, the companions of Muhammad in Medina selected Ali to be the new caliph, who had been passed over for their leadership 3 times since the death of Muhammad. Soon thereafter, Ali dismissed several provincial governors, some of whom were relatives of Uthman, and replaced them with trusted aides such as Malik al-Ashtar and Salman the Persian. Ali then transferred his capital from Medina to Kufa, a Muslim garrison city in current-day Iraq. Demands to take revenge for the assassination of Caliph Uthman rose among parts of the population, and a large army of rebels led by Zubair, Talha and the widow of Muhammad, Aisha, set out to fight the perpetrators. The army reached Basra and captured it, upon which 4,000 suspected seditionists were put to death. Subsequently, Ali turned towards Basra and the Caliph's army met the army of Muslims who demanded revenge for the murder of Uthman. Though neither Ali nor the leaders of the opposing force, Talha and Zubair, wanted to fight, a battle broke out at night between between the two armies. It is said, according to Sunni Muslim traditions, that the rebels who were involved in the assassination of Uthman initiated combat, as they were afraid that as a result of negotiation between Ali and the opposing army, the killers of Uthman would be hunted down and killed. The battle thus fought was the first battle between Muslims and is known as the Battle of the Camel. The Caliphate under Ali emerged victorious and the dispute was settled. The eminent companions of Muhammad, Talha and Zubair, were killed in the battle, and Ali sent his son Hassan ibn Ali to escort Aisha back to Medina. After this episode of Islamic history, another cry for revenge for the blood of Uthman rose. This time it was by Muawiyah, kinsman of Uthman and governor of the province of Syria. However, it is regarded more as an attempt by Muawiyah to assume the caliphate rather than to take revenge for Uthman's murder. Ali fought Muawiyah's forces at the Battle of Siffin, leading to a stalemate, and then lost a controversial arbitration that ended with arbiter Amr ibn al-As pronouncing his support for Muawiyah. After this, Ali was forced to fight the rebellious Kharijites in the Battle of Nahrawan, a faction of his former supporters who, as a result of their dissatisfaction with the arbitration, opposed both Ali and Muawiyah. Weakened by this internal rebellion and a lack of popular support in many provinces, Ali's forces lost control over most of the caliphate's territory to Muawiyah, while large sections of the empire such as Sicily, North Africa, the coastal areas of Spain and some forts in Anatolia were also lost to outside empires. In 661, Ali was assassinated by Ibn Muljam as part of a Kharijite plot to assassinate all the different Islamic leaders, meaning to end the civil war. Whereas the Kharijites failed to assassinate Muawiyah and Amr ibn al-Az, Ali's son Hassan ibn Ali, the grandson of Muhammad, briefly assumed the caliphate and came to an agreement with Muawiyah to fix relations between the two groups of Muslims that were each loyal to one of the two men. The treaty stated that Muawiyah would not name a successor during his reign, and that he would let the Islamic world choose the next leader. Hassan was assassinated, and Muawiyah gained control of the caliphate and founded the Umayyad Caliphate, marking the end of the Rashidun Caliphate.